Welcome to the first episode of this new How to Make a VR Game series. So in this video we will learn how to configure Unity for VR development and make our own VR camera rig. This is an updated version of my previous tutorial series from 2 years ago that you guys seem to enjoy a lot, but as there were quite a few changes lately, I think now is a good time to redo it together. So here is the plan. For the next 2 months I will post a new video every Sunday, so 8 videos in total. 6 of them will be uploaded here on this YouTube channel and the other 2 will be uploaded on my Patreon, where we will use what we learned to make a complete game from scratch. The source code of this tutorial will also be available for you guys over there, so if you'd like to support the channel and have access to all of this exclusive content, join us, link in the description. But without further ado, let's get started with our tutorials. Now, for this tutorial series, we are going to use Unity. Unity is one, if not the most used game engine for VR. It is used for huge games like Job Simulator or Among Us VR and VR game with crazy mechanism like the End Physics Lab. And I'm super happy to announce that Unity has agreed to sponsor this video. Yes, I can't believe that I just say this, but after teaching VR with Unity for years now on YouTube, I'm super stoked to partner with them for this series, and it really shows how the channel has grown thanks to you guys, so go show them some love. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, of course, download Unity. So let's go to unity.com/download. And I'm on Windows, so in my case, I'm going to click download for Windows. And after going through the installation and opening the Unity Hub, you should see something like this. So the Unity Hub allows you to have a look at all of your current projects. So don't worry, if it's the first time that you are using it, it's normal that it is empty for you. And if we click on install, we can also have a look at the Unity version installed on this computer. So to install a new one, we can click on Install Editor. And for this tutorial series, we are going to use Unity 2020.3, as it is the latest long-term support version available right now. By the way, you can of course use any version above 2019.4 that you want, but for the sake of simplicity, it is better if you have the same one as me to follow the tutorial. So let's click on install. In the case of a VR game, we want to be able to build for both desktop and Android, so let's add the Android support with both GDK and NDK. And click on continue. Last, we can say yes on the agreement. Of course, I know it by heart, so I don't have to read it again myself. And finally, let's click on install. After some time, the new version of Unity is installed. So next step is to create a new project. Let's go back to our project list, click on new project, select the Unity version we've just installed, and select the 3D URP template. So this is a template that comes with already optimized graphics, which is great for VR as it costs a lot of computation resources. But that's the subject of another video, so let's continue. We can give a name to a project. I will call mine My Own VR Game. You can also set a custom folder to store your project right here. Finally, we can click on Create Project and let Unity do the rest. After some time, this is what you should see, the beautiful Unity editor. Now, it might not exactly have the same layout, but if you want to reproduce the same as mine, you can go at the top here, click Layout, select Tool, and then click on the game windows and drag it under the scene like this. So all of these windows have a particular job for making our game. The scene window is the gun mode view to quickly move around and select any object that you want. The hierarchy contains the list of all of the objects in your scene, and for each element, we have in the inspector the list of all of the components attached. Finally, we have here the game windows, which is used to test our game, and the project window, which contains all the script, texture, 3D model and other data. Now I'm going to create a fresh Unity scene, so let's click on the plus button in the project windows and select scene. We can change its name to anything we want, so main VR scene for example, and it's never too early to organize our project, so I'm going to drag it in the scene folder that I already have. So if we select this folder, we can see the two scenes that we have currently. So the sample one we are at right now and the new one we just made. And so let's go to the new one by double clicking on it. Perfect. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Everything is ready, guys. We can get started on our VR game. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this scene is add a ground for our player. So we can right click in the hierarchy, go to 3D object, plane. This will create a new plane on the scene. We can center this plane at the origin of our scene by changing its position to 0, 0, 0. And we can even change the color of this plane with a new material. So let's create a new object in the project windows and click on material. I'm going to rename it plane material. We can change its color to black and drag it to our plane. And just like that, we have changed the material of our plane to this beautiful black material. Perfect. And so at this moment, we have already a camera in the scene, but if we click on play, even if it displays what the camera sees in the game windows, nothing is happening on the VR headset. So let's see how we can enable VR for our project. To do this, let's go to Edit, Project Settings, XR Plugin Management, and click on Install XR Plugin Management. Now that it is installed, as you can see, we can say the plugin that will be used to handle VR on our game for both desktop and Android. So if we want to target the maximum number of VR headsets possible, the best solution is to select OpenXR in desktop and on Android. By doing this, as you can see, we have now the specific OpenXR settings available just down here. And the last thing we can set is the interaction profile we want for our game, which corresponds to the type of device we want to support. And as I want to support the maximum number of devices, like I just said, I'm going to add all controller profile on desktop and the Oculus Touch controller profile on Android. There you go, we can now close this windows and let's click on play to try our game. There it is, guys. I am now able to see what's inside my VR headset, but nothing happens when I rotate my head. So to take the rotation of the headset and move the camera accordingly in the scene, we can select the main camera in the hierarchy, click on Add Component and search for Track Pose Driver. By default, it will select the headset as you can see here with the center eye HMD reference, and if we click on play, now it works and I can see inside my headset and the camera move accordingly. Nice. By the way, to be able to test your Unity game directly in the Unity editor like I'm doing right now, you must have your VR headset be able to play games on your computer. So for example, either you already have a VR headset plugged by default on your PC, like for the HTC Vive or the Valve Index for example, or like I'm doing here, I have the Meta Quest 2 headset that I have plugged with a USB-C cable and I have MetaLink enabled to play VR directly on the computer. So this is only the beginning, guys. We could of course go from here and build everything from scratch to make this game, but instead we are going to speed up the development process by importing a set of tools to interact and make our game faster, which is by using the Unity XR Interaction Toolkit. So to download the Unity XR Interaction Toolkit, we can click on Windows, go to Package Manager, plus button, add package by name, type com.unity.xr.interaction.toolkit, and now it should automatically install this package. Of course, there will be update in the futures that might change how this tutorial works, but if you have any issues, go to the comment section below and I will post how to handle this problem. But now that we have the Unity XR Toolkit installed, let's get started and build our own XR rig. So you can think of the XR rig like the player in your game. To set up the XR rig, let's first remove the main camera that we have, right click in the hierarchy, go to XR and click on XR Origin. As you can see, it adds an XR origin to our scene. So let's make sure that this XR origin is at the center of the game by setting its position and rotation to 0, 0, 0. And as you can see, this XR origin is a bit the same as what we did earlier. We also have a camera that has the track pose driver, but thanks to the interaction toolkit, we now have more features. Like if we go to the XR origin game object, we have here the XR origin component that has a tracking origin mode settings. And with this setting, you can add a certain offset to the camera with the camera Y offset parameter. But most importantly, say if you want to take the height of the player into account or not by setting the mode to floor. And this is what I'm going to do in my case. And there it is if we click on play. As you can see, the camera still works with the VR asset, but now it takes my height into account and it feels like the plane that we added earlier is at the ground level in real life. That's awesome. So now that we have made the setup for the VR headset, let's do it too for the controllers. So to take into account the controllers in our XR rig, let's first add an empty game object. I'm going to right click on the camera offset and click on create empty. So this will create an empty child of the camera offset. A child means that if the parent move, the children will move as well, which is what we want in this case. So we can rename this empty game object left hand and add a new component called XR controller action based. There you go. Finally, I'm going to duplicate this game object with Ctrl D and rename it right hand. But as you can see, we have now one big problem. For each controller, we have to set up all of the input actions, which will take us a lot of time. Now, if you don't know what the input action is, we will talk about them in details in the next episode, so don't worry. But to avoid to do everything ourselves, we will use a component preset by the Unity XR Toolkit. First, we need to download this preset, so let's go back to our package manager with Windows, Package Manager, and on our currently installed version of the Unity XR Toolkit, we want to click on Import on the starter asset. And there you go. As you can see, if we close this windows and that we go to Samples, XR Interaction Toolkit, Starter Assets, we can have a look at this new folder that we've downloaded. And to use this preset, we can go back to our left hand, click on that little icon on the top right corner and select XRI default left controllers. As you can see, now all of the actions are set up. That's nice. And we can do exactly the same thing, but for the right hand. Okay, we are almost there. Last but not least, we need to say to Unity to enable the action that we are using. So let's select our XR origin, click on Add Component and add a new Input Action Manager. Finally, we can select the XR default input action that was inside the Starter Asset folder and drag it in the Action Asset list of this component. And there it is, guys. Now, if we click on Play, as you can see, it works. With the XR rig we built, the left and right hand are now following the position of the controllers. And now, of course, we cannot see it in the game windows because it doesn't have a visual right now. So to quickly test our result in this game windows, let's select both our hands and let's right click, go to 3D, click on cube. This will of course create a cube as a child of both our hands, and we can select the 2 cube, remove the box collider component because we don't want this component to collide, and scale down this cube to something else like 0.1. And now if we click on play, ta-da! We can now see the cube we just added that are following the position and rotation of our controllers. And by the way, if this cube seems a bit far away from your hands, make sure that their position and rotation is at 0, 0, 0. Now, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you are hyped for this tutorial series. In the next episode, we learn about how input works in VR and how to use it to create a realistic animated end to replace this ugly cube. Now, if you haven't already subscribed and liked this video, make sure to do it to not miss the next one. So thank you for watching till the end and see you soon. Bye bye.